Right, let's do
It
this.
is it is our pleasure to, have you here today. Lauren, you're vibrant, you're dynamic, and it's been said you're anything but boring, and I can agree with that. You just come on and just full of energy. You're the president and founder of Inspiring Champions. I know that every interaction I've ever had with you, you've inspired me. You've inspired Tina. You've inspired our salons. You've been known as that redheaded firecracker. You're rated one of the top business trainers and success coaches in the salon and spa industry. You definitely have that proven track record for really helping the beauty industry professionals, make more money and really be at the top of their careers. So we are so thankful for you taking some time to be with us today. So welcome, Lauren.
Wow, thank you. What a great introduction. I love you. Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. And I just love this industry. And I do. My passion is for inspiring people. And I think, just the name was just so perfect because one, who doesn't want to be a champion? And two, who doesn't want to be inspired to greater heights in their life? So, the two words just seem to go together perfectly to create what is now 25 years into my journey. In March, celebrated 25 years of working in the greatest industry in the entire planet, the salon and spa industry. And, Tina, speaking of great leaders and champions and winners, you've always been one of my biggest heroes. And I'm always so touched and moved and inspired by you. So thank you for inviting me to be a part of your dream and your vision and your purpose. And I'll always be here to do anything I can to support you in this great industry. So thank you.
Lauren, I'm so happy to have met you. In fact, Jeannie Bra introduced us, and I'll never forget this day. I was actually in Las Vegas, and in the lobby, and as soon as we met each other, we hit off, and just incredible. And then you invited us and several of our graduates to come to one of your courses. And honestly, you have transformed a lot of the salon owners' businesses right here in Michigan. So thank you so much. And many of them are graduates of ours. So thank you for changing their lives. And I love the fact that it's called Inspiring Champions. First of all, I'm doing Bar Blend right now through Beachbody. And today, the affirmative statement today was to be inspired. So I don't think that's an accident, right? And so interesting because to be inspired, you have to be inspiring. And so kind of what's that untold story for you too, Lauren? Like where did this come from and where did this whole company get started and why?
Wow, that's a great question, Tina, because this was not something I chose. It really happened during one of the worst times in my whole life. Being in the salon industry, I started in 1985 with Jeannie Bra, with Paul Mitchell. And I remember I was back in Minnesota. I was out for the last night in town. I was there for a week with my family. I was with my best friend. And all of a sudden we got in the restaurant and she ran across the restaurant screaming and yelling. She grabbed this stranger, this man I had never seen. They're jumping up and down, they're hugging and kissing. And I go walking over there, and I'll never forget this moment because it changed my life. She took her hand and put it on my shoulder, and she said, Lauren, she said, this is Michael, my hairdresser. And I remember in that moment thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know what Michael has, but I've got to have that. I realized he had a passion that he ignited through her. I'd never seen someone get so excited about seeing another human being. And I was like, I want that. And what I realized is at that point in my life in 1985, I had no passion. I had no purpose. I had absolutely no direction and I was lost. And so here I am speaking to this hairdresser that I have never seen again. But in 3 minutes, he changed the course of not only my life, but of an entire industry. Because within 3 minutes, he looked at me and he said, oh my gosh, You should be selling hair products. I would love for someone like you to come in my salon. And he says, and I hear they make really good money. And I am telling you, at that point in my life, I had never felt what happened next. It like started at my toes and I felt it go up every inch of my body until it erupted out of my head. And it was like, yes, oh my gosh, I was born to sell hair products. And it was like this revelation. All of a sudden I had passion, I had purpose. I couldn't wait to get on the airplane and go back to San Diego where I lived. And so on the way home, I'm like, okay, smarty pants, what are you gonna sell? And I realized at that point in my life, I had never used a professional product except for one. And it was a white bottle, it had black letters and it said freeze and shine. And so I was like, I got to sell freeze and shine. Everybody in San Diego is going to have it. So I got back there. I found out this little blonde named Jeannie Bra owned the distributorship. So I called Jeannie up. I go, Jeannie, you don't know me. My name is Lauren Gartland, and I'm going to be your #1 salesperson. Well, she got so excited about that. Fantastic. She goes, do you have your license? And I go, yeah, I have my driver's license. And Jeannie said, no, your cosmetology license. I said, Jeannie, I don't need a cosmetology license to sell freeze and shine. I got this. Just set me free and let me do it. Well, Jeannie wasn't budging because back then the belief was you had to be a licensed cosmetologist in order to sell hair products. And you know what I've learned on my journey in life as a leader, as a person who wants to be an example for others, all of us are going to get a lot of no's in our lifetime. And it's what you do with those. So a no today does not have to be a no permanently. A no today become a yes. You got to learn as a champion, as a leader, you've got to become unstoppable. You got to be unstoppable. If you find your dream, if you have a passion in you, if you have a purpose in you, I believe something bigger than all of us planted that seed. And I'm going to call it God, and anyone in your audience can call that what they want. But I believe God planted that in me. And I just said, Jeannie, no, I can do this. And we went, and I pretty much called her every day for 3 months, and I became a stalker. And every day the conversation was the same. Did you get your license? No, but I can do this. And you go, as a champion, as someone trying to get to your dreams and goals, even if no one else believes it, you have got to believe that you can overcome any hurdle, any obstacle, that you can break through any barrier. And I refuse defeat. And so I called her every day. And then I realized I got to change my approach. And so finally I said to her, I go, Jeannie, today is going to be your day. Well, she had never heard that. And she goes, really? What's that, Lauren? And I had no idea what was going to come out of my mouth next. And have you ever said anything so stupid, like you actually wanted to grab it and put it back in? Yeah. So keep in mind, back then, I did not have 2 copper pennies to rub together. And I brilliantly said to Jeannie, I go, Jeannie, I'm going to work for free. In fact, I will work for free for 3 months. And if I'm not your #1 top salesperson in those 3 months, you don't have to fire me. I'll just leave and quietly go away and we'll be friends. And she said, how can I say no to that? Yeah. And you know, in coaching and mentoring and training, literally tens of thousands of people, I will tell you, most people don't believe in their dreams. They waver, they sell out, they get stopped instead of looking for ways to conquer them. And so for me, working, you know, for Paul Mitchell, that was the first, oh my gosh, 6.5 years of my journey. In fact, I booked Robert Cromings. I booked his very first in-salon class. And then, you know, from then we just have had a great journey together. But, you know, I became not only their top salesperson, but in the 1% in the entire nation. I became their top $1 million sales consultant. And the average product sold to a salon back then for only $2.10. So that was like an amazing breakthrough, but it was too easy for me. I think too many people, especially leaders, they get complacent. And I saw that I had built real estate in mediocrity land, that it was too easy and I needed a new level. I needed to be stretched. And I think all of us, no matter how high we are on our success mountain, I believe every one of us can go higher. And now we have to find resources, mentors, individuals that will take us to that next level so we don't fall into the hole of building real estate mediocrity land. And so I remember going to my boss then and saying, look, I know you got a position for a manager, an assistant manager. I want that. And I remember he looked at me and he said, Lauren, you would not be a good manager. Well, I was not prepared for that. And so I just looked at him and said, thank you for sharing. And I said, here's my 2-week notice. And that was a very sad day of my life because it was where my beginnings were in this great industry. And I learned so much, but I went on to work with another distributor and they needed a 50% increase. And I wasn't able to give him that, but in a year and a half, I did give him a 269% increase.
Oh my God.
And if I learned anything as a leader, this is what I see as prevalent in our industry because I'm on the phone talking with owners every day. Most owners are technicians. They were technicians that decided to open a business.
Right.
And when they decided to open that business, they quickly, like bam, almost out of the chutes, they quickly found out that they were experiencing the entrepreneurial seizure. They realized they had one job they knew how to do really well called being a hair designer or a nail technician or an esthetician. And then they found out they had 42 jobs they had no idea what to do. And that's why most businesses fail. And as you talk to so many leaders, what they don't understand, most of them, because what they know, their comfort zone is being a technician, and they wear that technician hat too much. They go back to it when it's important to make business decisions. They put that technician hat on instead of the CEO hat. I hear it every day on the phone. Every day I have to ask them, you've got to remove your technician hat and you've got to put on your CEO hat. You're thinking from emotion versus from logic versus from what's going to best serve the business and the clients and the team, thinking win-win. And so when I had to go from, in a sense, being a technician, a sales consultant, to now managing people, nobody taught me this, but this inside of me intuitively, I knew that in order to help him achieve his 50% growth, I knew that I could no longer be the star, that I had to make every one of his team members, his sales consultants, I had to make them into stars. And that was how we were able to create a 269% increase. I simply took what I had mastered to become $1 million sales consultant without even having a color line, to learning how to take those same skills. So what so many owners need to do is start taking those skills and to create leverage and turn every one of your team members into superstars. So many of them work full time and a half behind the chair. I can tell you without any uncertainty, it is impossible, absolutely positively impossible, to work 5 full-time days behind the chair as a technician and create a profitable, thriving, successful business. It's impossible. Unless you have the money to hire a really good manager, which 98% of all salons do not have. And that's one of the hardest transitions. And so all of us are on this journey and all of us are going through transitions. But what I learned and what I see and experience with so many owners is, you know, managing people is not, it was not my passion. I can tell you that. And so I remember going to my boss and saying, wow, this was such an amazing journey and I've loved every moment of it working with you, but this just isn't my passion. And so I went on, and a manufacturer who had been kind of after me at shows for a couple of years, they called me up and said, hey, we want you to be our distributor. And I was like, you know what? It's perfect time. Let's do it. And Tina, you own a business. Many of your listeners are business owners. And let's face it, owning a business is hands down, besides possibly having birth, the hardest thing you'll ever do. If it was easy, everyone would do it and do it successfully. It's hard. And you got to risk everything. So I was willing. I closed out my 401k. I closed out my savings account that had thousands of dollars in it. I borrowed money from two of my brothers and from a friend. I sold everything I had that I didn't need. I risked it all and put it on the line. And they said, hey, why don't you share a warehouse with this other distributor to help you to save costs? Great idea. Let's do it. So I set up shop and they wanted a 100% increase. I said, we can do that. They wanted that in a year. They said, as long as you give us 100% increase in a year, you have nothing to worry about, would not sign the contract, boom. 8 months into it, I had increased their business by 800%, wow, single-handedly. Oh my God. And quite honestly, it was the easiest thing I ever did. Increasing that business 800%, that was easy. Learning how to run the business was hard. You know, and I had to. Did you have a question, Sean?
I was just going to say something that, like, since the beginning that we started talking is, you have something that, you know, you have confidence. And I think a lot of leaders sometimes maybe struggle with that confidence. You know, you had the confidence to work for 3 months for free and quit, you know, after it wasn't going to be what you wanted for 2 weeks. And then you had that epiphany where you had to stop being the star and turn everybody into a star. So you had to almost take your confidence that you have or your belief in yourself and transfer that into your team. So what was that process like for you?
Well, it's an interesting process, especially when you're used to being the star and now your job is to make others into stars. It's uncomfortable because your natural instinct is to go, well, just let me do it. I'll just go out there and do it. And so I had to find a way to do it that would work for me and certainly work for them and produce the end result. You know, every one of us, we've got to know, what is the finish line? What is the finish line you want? You got to think the end backwards. And so I was clear. The finish line is he wants a 50% growth. Okay, so let's look at that. So basically, I just did a good job of going out there and working hands-on with them, going in and teaching them how to do it. And then I would watch them do it. And then I would redirect them until they were doing it and doing it natural with their personality, with their words. It was really a hands-on approach. It was, I always believe, the best way to teach. And, you know, I have Kevin McCollum to thank for this. He taught me something valuable. He said, Lauren, tell me, I'll forget. Show me, I may remember, but involve me so I understand. Yeah. And I think most people learn best that way, certainly in our industry. And so really that was what I had to apply to teaching others. I had to tell them, I had to show them, and then I had to let them do it and to fail forward. Nobody fails, you only fail forward. You only fail if you continue to make the same mistakes over and over. That's called stupidity. Wisdom is failing and having the wisdom to get up and try a new approach. As long as you know the finish line you're moving towards is the right direction to go. And so for me, it's natural. Maybe that's why I love Inspiring Champions so much, because I'm living and breathing with all of our clients that philosophy of tell me, show me, and do. We've brought that into it. But did you have another question there, Sean, or did that answer it?
I want to add to that because I love what Sean said about this, because this is, I think, the biggest challenge that we're having in our companies right now. And as we coach our salon owners right now that are just, you know, kind of babies in the industry, they're just getting their salons just started. And many of our directors are really struggling with this. And so I want to talk about that a little bit more, because I love the fact that your old boss or whatever said that, no, you would not make a good manager. And
Right.
so I think there was some untold story in between there and you actually becoming a good manager. But there's a great book out by Patrick Lencioni. It's called The Motive. And so I think once we understand why we want to be a leader, then the how that you were talking about shifts, right? And so Sean and I, coaching our directors and obviously salon owners, we're kind of noticing that their motive is off. Right. And so what we're starting to see is like, you know, you don't see what I do. And, you know, you're not acknowledging all the great things that I'm doing. And, you know, start to see kind of, can you talk about maybe some of those red flags that maybe they could see in themselves, or salon owners can see in themselves, or leaders can see in themselves that going to see that, hey, my motive is off. I really need to go back and figure out, why do I want to be a leader?
Right. Well, most people want to own a business, but they don't really want to be a leader. I can tell you
that's good.
90% of our coaching calls, I mean, I coached for years and now I just have a whole, you know, I have the greatest coaches on the world that take care of our clients now. I can't do it all. But I can tell you, when I did coach and when I'm on calls every day with owners, the majority of the time you're putting out fires. They're in constant chaos around how to manage situations within the business. You know, it's always, oh my God, you're not going to believe what this person now did. And now you're not going to believe, like, this person left and they took 4 million. It's all this chaos, all these things happening, and they really struggle stepping into that leadership role. You know, being a leader is not easy because you're not going to be the most liked person.
Right.
You're not going to be the most liked because you have to make those hard choices that are going to serve the big picture. You got to keep your eye on the big picture. And you know what? Not everyone wants to stay the course. Not everybody wants to withhold the code. Not everybody wants to follow the policies and procedures that are put in place to protect them, to protect the guests, to protect the business. And most owners, I will tell you, unfortunately waver in their policies. Things get a little, you know, tight and like, oh, well, let's just overlook this. I'll give you a great example of that. I believe leadership is about, you have to do the right thing, even when you don't want to.
Yes.
You have to walk the walk and talk the talk. And I remember it was now, oh gosh, it's probably been, I don't know, 4 years now, 5 years. But the first person on my team, I'll just never forget this. They were with me from almost the beginning. And they were instrumental in me living my dream and moving, you know, keeping me moving towards the finish line, never, ever letting me give up, never letting me quit. They were a part of my soul. They were just so important to me, this team member. And yet, as the owner of the company, I know we have got to have guidelines. We have got to have structure. We have got to have protocols, and you cannot waver from them. And so I have very strong rules for when we are on the road. And they know if you do these things, and they're very clear what they are, I make them repeat them, that is instant termination. There is no conversation. There's no this. It is done. And this individual was so sharp, but I will never forget how it came to my attention what they did. And I was like, oh my gosh. do I just oversee this and hope nobody else on the team knows about it and just pretend like this didn't happen? And then I had to have a come to Jesus meeting with myself as the leader of the company. I said, Lauren, if you let this go, you will waver at anything. If you are not a stand for this, you will fall for anything. This is not going to be easy. This is not going to be comfortable, but you have to let this person go because they put the nail in their own coffin. This wasn't something I did to them. This was something they did to themselves, and they have to be accountable and responsible for what they did. I didn't do it. And I see so many owners trying to, oh my gosh, let's not fluff their feathers. Right. Let's not get things going. Let's try to keep the peace, and they waver. So I'm going to say leadership, and gosh, it's leadership. I don't think we're born. I don't think leaders are, in fact, I don't think I know. Leaders are not born. You don't pop out of your mom's belly and go, woo, I'm a leader. No, I think leaders are made. Leaders are made. And, Muhammad Ali said it best. He said, I hated every moment of the training, but I said, suffer now and live the rest of my life as a champion. And what Muhammad Ali is a great example of, he's the greatest boxer of all time, but he didn't become the #1 boxer in the ring. That's where it got acknowledged. He became the best by what he did on a daily basis to prepare for that. As leaders, we have to ask ourselves, what am I doing on a daily basis to prepare for myself, my team, and our guests to move towards that finish line I want? Most people don't even have a finish line. They're just like, well, let's just open up and let's just hope we get enough clients, enough money comes in. There's more money than time at the end of the month. Let's just hope it all works out. And there's no plan, there's no preparation. And I'll be honest with you, that was me. I know what that looks like and I know what it feels like, but I was smart enough to surround myself through a lot of failure. I have failed over 1 million times. There have been over 1 million times I wanted to quit. There were times I called up my team and I said, I'm firing myself. Here, you take it. Like, I don't want this anymore. But there were 1,000,001 times when I kept my eye on my finish line. And to be honest with you, Tina, as you know, I didn't get to tell you this, but I think we have to get clear, why are we doing what we were doing? And I want to finish what you asked me at the beginning, because I'm clear why I have Inspiring Champions and what my mission is. And it was that distributorship, 8 months into growing it over 800%. I showed up one day and I put my key in the door and it didn't open. And the person I was sharing the warehouse with, he put his key in the door and it did open. I walked in and my desk was empty. There was just one envelope on it, and I saw all the boxes around my desk. I was pretty clear something bad was going down. And I opened that envelope, which happened to be from an attorney, and it said, you are terminated instantaneously. That's a moment you never prepare for. I didn't remember that ever being in my business plan. And that day when I left there, I was absolutely broken and crushed, because inside of me, I knew I just lost everything. I lost my 401k. I lost my savings account. I didn't have the money to pay anybody back. I had no source of revenue. Like, all of the money's gone. It was a brand new business and it was all being put in. So I had no money to pay my bills. I remember going home and I laid in my bed for a week, paralyzed by fear, paralyzed. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. And I think a lot of people are going through that right now with COVID. I get it. And, you know, it was awful. But one day, at some point, we all have to say, okay, the grieving, it's time to end, and you got to get up and fight the good fight. And that voice inside of me said, get up and finish the race, even though I didn't know what the race was anymore. But I went out and tried to find a job, and this went on for about 2.5 months. Couldn't find anything remotely close to even cover the bills, not even close. So I ended up filing bankruptcy, ended up losing everything. One day came home, the note was on my house. It said, you have 3 days to evacuate and get out. So now I lost all my money and I lost my home. I remember I got a gentleman a couple houses down. I asked him if he would please, you know, go get one of those big vans that we could put all my things into a storage. I moved everything into my storage, continued to look for work, and became more and more broken. Life isn't always fair. Bad things happen to good people, to great people. And it's who we become in the face of it. And I will tell you, I was homeless. I couldn't tell anyone what was happening, so I lived in my car. And I would go to the washrooms on the beaches of San Diego and put my happy face on. You know, the happy face that says, my life's working, everything's perfect, nothing's wrong, and continued to try to keep some normality when there was none, where I was stripped of everything. And one day my church found me and said, we have a home for you. And I couldn't wait. I went over to this brand new house, had my own bedroom, bath, it was fantastic. All of a sudden I felt a sense of hope. You know, I think we need hope right now. Everybody needs hope. There's moments in our life we all need hope. And for many of us, that may be the only lifesaver you have in the greatest storms of life, is this lifesaver around you called hope. And I had hope that day because I had lost it. And I said, please, will you take me to my storage and will you help me to get all of my things out of storage? And we went over there and I was so excited. And I remember when we threw the door open where all of my things were. And when I looked inside, it was empty. Darkest moment ever, because my whole life was in there from the day I was born. Everything I had accomplished, everything I had bought, everything I owned. It was like a tsunami went through my life. My money's gone, lost my home, lost all of my personal belongings. And you know, sometimes it's through our greatest breakdowns that will come our greatest breakthroughs. And I will never forget this moment as long as I live. We went back. I don't think I've ever cried that hard in my life. And I remember it was 6:05 a.m. in the morning. Now I'm standing in the kitchen making coffee. And I remember feeling God take my hands. He took my hands. I felt his presence. I felt him in front of me and he said, Lauren Gartland, everything you have done up till this moment is for right now. You are going to globally transform the salon industry and you're going to change hundreds of thousands of lives. Now, this is at the lowest point in my life. And I'm thinking, has the cheese slid off the cracker? Like, you cannot be talking to me. Are you kidding me? Who's going to listen to me? I'm broke and I'm broken. Like, no. Ask me to do anything else. No, 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 no. And he just, you know, kept visiting me every day for like 2.5 weeks. And one day I finally gave in and said, well, I really have nothing else going on, so why not? And so I didn't start a company called Inspiring Champions when my life was working. I didn't start a company called Inspiring Champions when the I's were dotted, the T's were crossed. I started a company called Inspiring Champions, which, to live up to that name, is one of my driving forces. And God picked that name. That name gives me something to live up to. And I remember that it was just like, wow, you can lose everything you have, but what no one can ever, ever take from you is everything you learned on that journey. And I realized that everything I had learned was preparing me for this moment. Some people step into ownership, into management, and they're not ready for that moment. They're just not ready. And they either need to get ready and surround themselves with the right people that can help them get where they want to go. Or quite honestly, I see too many people trying to do it alone. And I did. I tried to do it alone for probably the first 10 years of Inspiring Champions, and it was painful. And one day I realized I've taken this baby as far as I can, and I can't do this. This isn't, and so I hired a dream team of consultants and people that knew what I did. And I said, you need to teach me. And so as leaders and owners, if we're not willing to learn from others, you are going to be dead in the water. You don't know it all. You haven't reached your peak. You haven't become your best. And you will never become your best until you've been through the fire. That's where you learn what you're made of. And COVID has been a wake-up call for all of us. It has been a reset button because it is forcing us to not only look at our business, but to look at our lives. And really, I think a lot of people realize they didn't like their lives, and so we have the opportunity to reinvent it. But it's the time, you know, I did some radical moves. Instead of being like the turtle and going within and go, wow, I'm just going to sit in here in the shell where it's comfortable until this all goes away, and then I'll come out and play. I said, no, I got to play now, and I got to play bigger than I've ever played. I've got to I knew the people I needed to get on my team that would get us through this, even though I had an industry that went to a screaming halt, and all of our shows canceled, all of our camps canceled. I have no idea when they'll start again. So everything that brought in revenue, gone. It's all about leadership is the ability to pivot.
Yeah.
And to stay strong when you don't want to. Because that's what you do as a leader. And we don't grow as human beings. There's not one person listening right now, including Sean, you and Tina. If all of us look back on our lives, we don't grow when life is good and working. It's like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. And that's when it's fun. That's when it's easy. If all of us look back on our lives, we can all see that where our greatest growth came was not from when life was working, but when it wasn't working. Mm-hmm. You will either grow or you will stop and die. And at the end of the day, you have to choose. But I can tell you, you can't do it alone. You can't get through the hard times alone.
Yeah, I love this. Let's talk a little bit more about pivoting, and let's talk about leadership, because I think this is really huge. I'm watching a lot of platforms, Lauren, and seeing these platforms, and they're all mad at their staff, right? And so
that's all we hear about.
That's all we hear. And
it's
killing me inside. And I think it just goes back to what I was talking about. I think it goes back to motive. Really check your motive. Why did you get into this business in the first place, right? And because we can't make it in this business, or any business for that matter, without our people. And so until you do what you're doing, Lauren, is making people stars and making them champions, then all of a sudden your business becomes a champion. So let's talk a little bit more about that, of what do people need to do specifically to fix their leadership right now?
Well, the saddest thing I hear all the time you get on is how they talk about their team.
Yes.
It saddens my heart how I hear so many people talk about their team. Now, I am certainly not talking about everybody, but I'm talking about a good majority. And leadership starts within. I know if someone talks like that about others, that they don't have a positive self-talk about themselves. I really believe that leadership begins with how you start your day, with those rituals. Because as they say, when you get on the airplane, you had better put the oxygen mask on you first and then take care of those around you. So as the leader of the business, we've got to first make sure we're taken care of mentally, physically, spiritually. And I know a lot of them are listening going, are you kidding? I hardly have time to pee every day. But I will tell you, this was a hard thing for me to learn. But when I made me the number one top priority first thing in the morning, everything changed. How you turn up is how your day will go. And so I will tell you that I know every day for me, I know I get up at 5 a.m. Boom. I want that hour where nobody can disturb me. And I do my Bible time. I do 2 different meditations. I do a gratitude list, and I look at what is my intention for the day. Every day I say, today is going to be a great day. I don't care if the world is falling apart around me. Today is going to be a great day. This is your great day. It's your great day. As a leader, you got to believe the highest and the best. Because this day, you got to think of it, it's like an empty page in your journal, and it's blank, and it's ready for you to create it. So this is your day. You are the author. You got to start each day as a leader being the best author. You got to be the author of how this day is going to go. And how you turn up is how your day is going to go. So if you show up and start your day out with gratitude and intention, you are priming yourself for a great day. You're priming yourself for a great day. And guess what? If you're one of those people that you got a lot of people you're not happy with, and you notice you've got a lot of non-positive self-talk about them, I really believe you got to take the finger and point it here. Mm-hmm. Because I think our people are a mirror of us. And interestingly enough, I find that when we change, all of a sudden they change. And so you got to prime yourself for a great day. And as a leader, the number one thing I hear, Tina, consistently, my job is to tell people what they don't want to hear, to see what they don't want to see, so they can become who they've always wanted to become. And that's not easy, because they don't want to hear or see what they don't want to see. But I will tell you that I hear so much negative self-talk and so much negative about their team. And the 2 most powerful words that will ever come out of any of our mouths is I am. The 2 most powerful words, I am. And whatever you connect to your I am, it will become you, and it will become your experience. So if you're walking around and saying, gosh, I am pissed off at my team members, I am really mad at my team, I am not feeling good about the business right now. Like, what is following your I am? Because if your I am is negative, then you're going to experience a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. And I will tell you, I get attacked in my head all the time. If I don't do this in the morning, if I don't do my gratitude list, and if I don't go through, I have a whole I am list. If I don't do that every morning, it is not a good day, period, end of story. So as the leader, how are you starting your day? Because you're expecting everyone to follow behind that. So if you're positive, then if your I am are followed with positive things, then you're going to flourish, and you're going to attract that to you. So you've got to make a commitment. Make a commitment that every day, no matter what, and it's going to mean you got to get up earlier. It's going to mean you got to find that time in the morning to get away from your kids, to get away from distractions, to be alone, and to force yourself to look at your I ams, your positive affirmations, to go through your gratitude list. And on there should be, I am grateful for my team. I had a team member that I was so mad at. And I literally prayed that God would pluck them out of my life, that they would just go away. And they didn't go away. And one day God said to me, you need to put that person on your gratitude list. I'm like, what? Hell no. I am not. No. In capital letters, neon lights. But you know what? I'm a believer and I'm going to be obedient. And I said, all right. I put them on my,
so good.
I put them on my gratitude list, and slowly but surely our relationship changed. And it's become beautiful again. It's just magnificent to see how things can change. But if you don't like what you see out here, you got to look at yourself. That's what leaders do.
That's good. You
got to look at yourself and you got to say, what do I need to change? And, you know, Tina, if I could just be transparent, COVID is hands down I told you my story. That's a pretty radical story. But COVID was the worst thing that happened to me, but it was also the best. And I will tell you, there was a period in there where I'm not proud of who I was being as a leader. I wanted to quit. And I could have quit, but I couldn't do it because God didn't tell me to quit. He said, no, you're not done yet. I was like, please take this away. I don't want to deal with this. And, you know, I went through with so many people. I had never felt so much anxiety. I had never felt so much overwhelm. I had clients coming at me. I had my team coming at me. Oh my God, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about that? How are we going to have that? And it was all just coming at me at this rapid speed. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't know. And I didn't even know how to say that. And I realized that everything for me was, I knew how to fix things. I was good at finding a problem and finding a solution. And for the first time, I didn't know how to find solutions, and I broke. And I disappeared. I just went away, and I remember like laying there in bed, and I felt like I was having a heart attack. I almost woke my husband up and said, you got to take me to the hospital. I think I'm having a heart attack. And the anxiety was so great. And I remember all of a sudden in that moment, I just felt God put his arms around me. And he said, Lauren, what are you worrying about? I got you. And it was like I felt this peace. And he said, I need you to stop worrying. I need you to go back to sleep because I got bigger things ahead for you. And I got you. Trust me. And for a lot of us, we have to have the wisdom to know when we have to surrender and when we have to get help. And you know, Tina, I realized I needed help. Like, I hired a therapist. And I had never done that in my life. And I hired a Christian therapist, and she's changed my life. And she made me mentally strong. And of course, if you go to a doctor, they want to put you on medication, and I live a medication-free life. So, you know, I had a person that really into Young Living oils. And I said, I'm having major depression, anxiety. I said, help me. And so I took the natural route, and I got onto these oils, and I was just literally wouldn't stop doing everything. And I got to tell you, the minute I reached out for help, everything changed. I've never felt more at peace. I've never felt calmer. I have had to walk away from so many things I used to do. I realized that I actually found myself in the past saying, I hate my life. I was saying it internally, but I remember there were even times I said it to my husband and said, this is not what I want my life to look like. It's being on that treadmill going 1,000 miles an hour. And so many owners and leaders are doing that. And literally I had to take a break and I had to get me well. And I got to tell you, I realized my joy is back. My purpose is back. My passion is back. I realized I had lost that and it's back. And everyone can hear it. Everyone can see it in me. Everyone can feel it. And I think some people need to really use this time, whether you're an owner, whether you're a manager, whether you're a parent, whether you're a husband, a wife, a significant other, whether you are a technician. Every human being is a leader, because every human being you're in front of, you're either leading them for the better or for the worst. You're either bringing people up or you're bringing them down.
Yeah.
And so your question was, they're complaining a lot about their team. Get help.
Yeah.
You can't do this alone.
Yeah.
Tap into people who can help you work through this. And you don't have to be everything to everyone. Put the oxygen mask on you. Set that time in the morning. And I promise you, if you will make the first 30 minutes, the first hour of your day a top priority for only you, you will see how you are changing almost instantaneously. It's the most amazing thing. And now I'm able to immerse almost like the phoenix coming out of the ground, like the fire, and to be stronger and to be better and to be more effective. And I'm seeing miracles happen around me. I'm seeing doors open that only God could open. That you go, oh my God, this is so good, this is so big. I mean, this could only be the big boy upstairs.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I completely answered your question. I just go with my heart.
That's so good. Yeah, no, I love this. And the reason why I love it is because I believe, and the same thing happened to me, that we needed to reset ourselves as leaders by getting broken ourselves so that we can have more empathy for the people that we're leading. And one of the things that I've been learning through this whole crisis is learning still how to expand my empathy. And you can't lead people if you don't love people.
Right. And if you don't love yourself, you're screwed.
Yes, you're screwed. It's all over. So I love this. This is so, so good. And I know we're ending this out. The time has come to the end, which I'm so, so sad. And I love the fact that you said, ask for help. That's those 3 words. That's all you need to be successful. I don't care what business you're in, ask for help. That's why we're doing these free webinars, Lauren. That's why we opened up this podcast. That's why I'm doing the B Series podcast, the Next Level Salon podcast. And I know that your story is going to change some lives. And I'm believing for that right now. And Lauren, so what last piece of advice do you want to give salon owners and salon leaders right now as we end out this podcast? And thank you so much for being on today.
Oh gosh, thank you, Tina. It's always such an honor to contribute. Wow, I think if I was to leave them with any advice, is you can't be the Lone Ranger. I see too many trying to be the Lone Ranger. You know, everyone wants to be on the top of the success mountain. Most aren't willing to do what it takes to get there, number 1. Number 2, they think that the people who are on the top of the mountain just got dropped there. And they didn't. It is, you will never ever see one person by themselves make it to the top of Mount Everest. You've got to get your dream team around you. And what I realized through COVID is I didn't have all the right people on my team. And so I had the time to think. I had the time to go to my dream room and to think, who is my dream team? Who do I want on my team? What do they look like? What do they act like? What are their beliefs? What are their core values? Really thinking about that. Get the right people on your team. A coach is part of your dream team.
Yes.
A therapist can be part of your dream team. Like, look outside of the normal. But I think what I want to leave them with is the most important words are, when you're struggling, is to say, I need help. It's the hardest thing. That was so hard for me. And I remember the first person I went to tell them, I think I'm having a breakdown. I'm not well. It was the hardest thing that ever came out of my mouth. And I felt her through the phone just hold me and say, you're going to be okay. And talk to me about what steps I needed to take to get healthy again. And so we can all get to the top. We just can't do it alone. And I'm here to support you. I'm here to support every individual in their dreams, in their goals, into reaching the top. And that's why our tagline is taking you to the top, whatever the top is for you. So thank you, Sean. Thank you, Tina, for being not ordinary, but extraordinary leaders. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to make a difference. And thank you for being a part of my life. I'm honored to know you, to contribute, to be a part of your lives, and to be a part of this extraordinary industry. Together, we will all get through this.
That's right. I love it. Together, stronger together. Best way to get a hold of you and for your programs is inspiringchampions.com, or what's
They can go on to inspiringchampions.com, or you know what? They can contact me directly at 619-559-3480, or Lauren, Lauren, at inspiringchampions.com. I always have an open door policy to help anyone at any time, even if it's just praying with them, comforting them, letting them, say whatever they need to. We all need help, and I'm here.
Love it.
I love you so much.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you so much.
Bye. Take care, champions.